folks. Welcome to the Life Hacks Podcast, where everyone is a student of life. Sometimes we get life completely right, and sometimes we get it completely wrong. I am your host, Steve Smith. On today's episode, it is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome my next guest to the podcast. He is a T7 paraplegic and is paralyzed from the chest down as a result of a terrible car accident when he was 22 years old. He is a senior financial system analyst for the United States government and also a motivational speaker and a mentor. He is also a New York City marathon competitor, an advanced scuba diver, an independent snow skier, a skydiver, a weightlifter, a hunter, a basketball player, and just about every other sport or outdoor-related activity participant that you can think of. And last but not least, rumor has it, he is a pro escalator rider in his wheelchair. He also wears glitter in his beard during the holiday seasons. And he mysteriously never seems to have his wallet when it comes time to pay the bill at the restaurant.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give your undivided attention and a warm welcome to my very special Life Hacks guest and my fellow American, Brian Woodyard. Welcome to the show, my man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah. I felt like Joe Dirt right now. Getting ready to tell the journey of my life.
Well, we're going to hear about your life today. Hey, man, I really appreciate you volunteering to come on my show. I don't know if you're familiar with what I do here at the show, but it's called the Life Hacks Podcast. And what we do, man, we just talk about life. We talk about the ups and downs of life. We talk about the good things, the bad things. You know, we're all students of life. We're all teachers in life. We're all leaders in life when it's time to be a leader. We're all followers when it's time to be a follower. But yeah, man, that's the gist of the show. And I'm excited to hear your story today.
Yeah, I like what you're doing. I've listened to a couple episodes, so I'm kind of excited to tell you about my story.
All right, dude. All right. What I do here, man, I run an interview style of podcast. All I do, I've got some questions kind of wrote up.
Okay.
And did a little research on you.
Oh,
so we're going to just start talking, man. And I'm going to start firing away. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions before we get started?
No, fire away.
Ready to go. All right, man. Here is question number one. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me about your upbringing before your accident. Kind of give me.
Sure. That's what I want to talk about. All started June 14th, 1972. Just kidding. We won't go that far back.
I was going to say, whoa, come on, man.
Just joking. But no, I'll skip a few years, get to my grade school years and all that. But, you know, number one question, a lot of people ask me, have you ever been depressed? And yeah, I've been depressed. And if I had to say, you know, was I depressed after my accident? Yeah, probably was for some time, but I try to forget that. But if I had to look back on my life, I was probably more depressed before my accident.
Really?
Yeah. You know, when I was in grade school, I was held back. Fourth grade, I believe is what it was. I had a speech therapy teacher that I went to every day because there were certain words I couldn't say.
Yeah.
So I had to go every day, you know, get up out of class and go to this. And then every morning when the home bell, you know, would ring and they would do roll call, I would get up and leave and go to my own teacher for the day.
I see.
And I always felt that I was different growing up. Yeah.
Wow. So, man, this is coming full circle already.
See, I knew I'd get you shocked, man.
This is, wow.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you folks have heard in the intro, he is a motivational speaker and a mentor in our community as well. So I just recently got hooked up with Brian through some mutual friends, and we both live in the same communities. And I've heard about you a lot. I've never heard your speeches. I saw some of your videos and things like that, but I'm shocked already.
Yeah. No, I'm more of a storyteller. I a motivational speaker. I'm not paid.
Yeah.
I just do it for fun. It all started at work. They bring your kids to work day. And they asked me to do it one year, and I did it. And it was just, they were like, well, we'll do this, and then we'll do it like every other year. Well, it became like the most popular thing at work. So I was doing it every year. I have a video, and kids, there'd be like 100 kids in there.
Nice.
And then schools would find out. Van Devener, I would always go there. There was a teacher there that heard about me, and she would have me come every year. I've been to Charleston, to the schools there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I've been all over.
Wow. So your childhood growing up, did you play sports, that kind of thing growing up?
I played sports, but, I wasn't that great at sports. I played a lot of pickup ball and things like that. I played basketball when I was younger. When I got to high school, I knew there were so many better athletes that I didn't stand a chance. So I didn't even try for basketball or anything like that. I played golf.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. I love the golf.
Yeah, it was very aggravating hitting that white ball.
It is. It's the hardest sport in the world.
Yeah. You already said I do a lot of sports, and everyone asks me, you want to try golf? I'm like, why?
Yeah.
That was like the most stressful sport there is.
Yeah.
It makes people drink.
It sure does. All right, man. I got another question here. How would you describe yourself to a person that doesn't know you? I know it's hard to talk about yourself, but kind of give folks that are listening some intel about you.
I'll be honest with you. When I meet people, I really don't want them. I don't come right out and just talk about myself, but I'm very good at reading people. I could tell when they're uncomfortable first time meeting me, because, when you're born, you are given a label, and everybody is given a label in life.
Yeah,
and
that's true. And
I know that being in a wheelchair, I'm labeled. People come like, oh my gosh, look at that poor guy.
Mm.
And, so the first time, and I'll crack a joke. I could tell if I need to make people feel at ease.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I'm just tired of standing here all day. Just funny stuff.
Yeah.
And and then they just start asking questions. I'm pretty warm. I got a great smile. And
yes, you do.
Yeah. People just open up to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for you folks listening, today is the first day I physically have met Brian. We've talked online a lot, and he is exactly right. I caught a vibe off of you when I first got here, and it was just, I feel comfortable, for lack of better words.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because you're volunteering to do my show, or but you do, man. You put off a good vibe, and I'm sitting here looking at you in a wheelchair, and I understand what you're saying. People automatically, they feel sorry for a situation like yours,
right.
And I don't know how else to say that. It's just the way human nature is.
Yep.
Yep. And
it's just the way we're raised.
It is.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any, harmful action towards, that kind of a feeling. I think it's just people's heart trying to pour out, and they don't know how to pour it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But yeah, man, I'm excited. Let's get this thing rolling. What is your nickname that your closest friends call you, and not Woody? Give me something good.
Oh, come on now. That's the only one I know. They call me Superman sometimes. But there's a story behind that too.
Well, let's hear it.
Yeah, there's a story behind that. So you want me to go and talk about my accident? We can go right into it.
Yeah, shoot. All right. Fire it off, man.
All right. So I was working at Superior Toyota. I went to school to be a car mechanic, service writer, service manager. I got a job there, and I started out as a mechanic, and I would say I was probably one of the worst mechanics there was, but that's the way I learned in life, is failure. I'm not saying I probably would have been a good mechanic. I was young. I was only 21 then, 22 when I was working there. And I probably would have got better in time as I, worked on cars. But then they gave me a job as a service writer. As my friends always joke around, That's because you weren't a good mechanic, is why you're a service writer.
Right.
But I wanted to work my way up. I wanted to be service manager someday or whatever. So I was doing that there, and someone came in and told me a job down at Burtwood Ford Toyota. So I called them, and they gave me a job. Well, instead of trying to find a place to live, I thought I would drive back and forth from here to Charleston.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it was my 5th day on the job. And I had left work, and I do not remember anything about this. There's a lot of people telling me, a lot of witnesses. But I was driving home, and it was mile marker 106, Eden's Fork. Luckily, a nurse from Cleveland was driving south on 77, and she saw everything. She said that I wasn't speeding or reckless driving. She said it looked like the wind had picked up my truck and blew it over.
Really?
Yeah. She said it rolled 8 times. I came out on the 4th roll. Luckily, she was a nurse. She came over. The only thing that she saw was blood from my head because I had my head on the blacktop. So she saw that. She flagged down a tractor and trailer. They called an ambulance, take me to Charleston Air Medical there in Charleston, West Virginia.
Yeah.
And I was in a coma for 13 days.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, it was this lucky that she was a nurse. It was just, I don't remember nothing about that day. I don't remember the car wreck.
No kidding.
Yeah. So after my accident, after a while, we had to go back down to Charleston, and I was with my family, and I was like, well, let me try to pick out where I had it, where I wasn't even close. I do not remember anything about that day.
No kidding.
Yeah. And I'm glad. I'm glad I don't remember.
That's a good point. Yeah. So, well, oh my gosh, I don't even know what to say. So when did you come to? When was your memory starting to come back?
Sure. I remember a little bit, I couldn't talk because I had tubes down my throat, and just imagine my family was here.
Yeah.
They get a phone call saying your son, is in a bad accident.
Man.
Can you imagine making that drive?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, what they were thinking, because they didn't know the details.
Mm-hmm.
So when I woke up from my coma, I couldn't talk. So I asked for a pen and paper, and I started asking questions. What happened? He said, "You're in a car wreck." Well, whose vehicle? Because I knew I worked at a car dealership.
Yeah. And
they said, "Your truck." Well, it was a brand new Toyota truck. So I was pretty bummed out about that.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't think it was right then, but I said I wanted pictures of my truck. So my friends went and took pictures of my truck because I wanted to see it.
Yeah.
But, I was in Charleston for a little bit, and, my family want the best for me. They're the backbone of my whole journey.
Yeah.
And they wanted me to have the best therapy. So I thought I wanted to come closer home. So I came to Marietta. There was a doctor there, Dr. Lacey, who was great. He was new. And he had a great idea. But his staff was not up to par at that time.
Gotcha.
And I felt like I was going backwards.
Yeah.
I was in Charleston for a few weeks. I came here, and I was here 5 days. Everything goes in 5 days. And my sister had heard a place in Columbus, and it was called Dodd Hall. And she got me into Dodd Hall. So I left Marietta and went there. And it was boot camp.
Man,
in Marietta, they would come in and ask me, "What do you want to do today?" And I'd be like, "Nothing." They're like, "Okay." They would just leave.
Oh, I see.
And now, when I was in Columbus, it was like, okay, you're going to be up at this time. You're going to be doing this today. You're going to be working out. You're going to be swimming. You're going to be learning how to do escalators. You're going to learn how to drive. It was just how to cook, how to clean. Just everything to get back to life.
Wow.
Yeah. And that kind of pushed me, having that routine and that them driving me.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to get out of there as quick as possible.
Yeah.
So I was there for a few weeks. But during that time, Christopher Reeves had an accident.
Yeah.
May 27th. I still remember that date. He broke his C1, C2 vertebrae. And seeing that and seeing what he went through,
right,
it really changed my life.
Really?
Yep. Yeah.
Man. So that's kind of where the Superman thing's coming from?
Yeah.
That's
so it's
awesome,
not because that I do great things.
Right.
It's because I admired him.
You got the inspiration from Superman.
Yeah.
Man, holy cow, dude. I'm not supposed to be getting goosebumps over here, but I got it.
It's just funny because everyone's like, oh, yeah, you're Superman because you do this, do that. And I was like, that's not the reason why I'm Superman. It's because he was my mentor pretty much. Yeah.
Holy cow. That's more than just that's more than just being a Superman fan growing up.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I mean, you're using him as inspiration after he'd had his problems.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He lived for 10 years and I was doing a marathon in Washington, D.C., the Marine Corps Marathon.
You did that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm jealous.
One of my favorite ones.
Awesome.
Because it was great to see the soldiers, full gear.
Oh my God.
And they're doing 26 miles. I'm like, what am I complaining about? And here I am in a wheelchair. And I'm sitting there watching these guys thinking, what do I have to complain about seeing these guys? I mean, they're heroes, running. It was amazing watching them. But after the marathon, I had left and I was in Hagerstown. Some friends called me. And they go, hey, we're talking to Christopher Reeves. And I was like, what? So I was like, do I turn around? I didn't know what to do because Hagerstown's a couple hours away.
Sure is.
Not even a couple hours, probably about an hour away.
Yeah.
But I knew I couldn't keep him on the street. So I just basically said, just tell him about me. So they told him about me. But, then of course he passed away a few years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So oh my gosh.
At least he got to hear my story.
No way.
Yeah. From someone else.
Yeah. I mean, gee whiz, man. That's man. I want to go back to the nurse that saw the accident. Do you know her?
I met her. I met her a few years later. I go from one sport to another.
I hear this.
Yeah. So I got into shooting billiards and playing 9-ball. So I would travel, around local tournaments, and one was in Cleveland. And I'd gotten her address, sent her a letter, and we got phone numbers. And I called her, and we ended up meeting when I was in Cleveland for a 9-ball tournament.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow.
She says she still has dreams about it.
I bet.
Yeah.
Did she do any first responder type?
She did not, because she knew something was wrong, and she didn't want to, touch me.
Gotcha.
She said I was shaking pretty bad.
Wow.
So she put a blanket over me.
But she was your first responder, though, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Man.
Yeah. Luckily, she was a nurse.
Do you think she helped save your life?
Yeah, because she knew what to do.
Man.
She, told people to stay away and called an ambulance and all that. So yeah.
Golly nuts.
Yeah.
Man. I was told that this story is going to be overwhelming. I'm a little overwhelmed. That's amazing. I like that nickname a lot better than, obviously I like Woody because that's everybody's nickname for you. But
yeah, and that started when I was in school.
Sure, yeah.
We had 4 or 5 Bryans in the class.
Yeah.
And the teacher would say, hey, Brian. We'd all go, hey. And so the teacher's like, okay, you're Woody.
Yeah.
I had nicknames for everyone. So that's how that all got started.
What is something about you that might surprise others if they knew?
Well, every time I meet someone and I start talking about things and I tell them, I'm a snow skier, I scuba dive nerd, it's like, wow. But, to me, that's everyday life.
Yeah.
That's the stuff I enjoy doing. But if I really had to tell someone something that would just blow them away, I have never read a book.
What?
I have never read a book in my life. I took speed reading in high school and I learned how to skim, books and stuff, but I have never sat down and read a full book. And when I hear people say, oh, the book is so much better than a movie, I'm like, how? Jennifer Aniston's in that movie. How can that be better?
Right.
Right. So I've never, ever read a book in my life.
I'm not too far behind you. I've read a couple, but oh my gosh, that's funny. Oh my gosh. What is some of the funniest or maybe the most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to you?
I have so many stories. I could go on and on, but I'll tell one. It's going to embarrass someone else also. So I work in DC quite a bit, and this has happened like a year ago. And we're in DC, and I don't like taking the metro. I don't like calling Ubers. I mean, I want to exercise. So when we go to class, I teach a computer program, and I said, let's roll, let's walk, let's get there, And we're probably about a mile away, and we're just going along, and all of a sudden we heard this loud noise. I mean, it sounded like a gunshot.
Yeah.
And the guy with me, his name's Chris, he looked over and he thought I got shot at. And there was construction workers, they stopped while my tire blew on my wheelchair. And I was just like, go on, Chris. They got to, training's got to go on. And I was like, I'll catch up with you. So he goes to class, and I'm like, I'm going to be so late. Get there, no one's there. I'm like sweating. And he's like, what are we going to do? Well, our boss was coming up the next day. So I called my sister, and I said, can you go to my house, get some tires, and give them to my boss so he could bring them up the next day? So they did that. Well, in the meantime, I was like, how am I going to get around? So I rented a wheelchair, and I saw the picture online, and I thought, well, that's a sports model. You can tell I'm in a sports chair, it's pretty fancy. Yeah. And I was like, okay. So we get to the hotel, and I'm looking for the chair, and there it is. And it was just a tank. It was like a hospital. And I told Chris, I said, man, there's no way I'm going to be able to get around in this. And if you noticed on my wheelchair, I don't have push handles. I don't like being pushed at all. And I like to be independent as much as possible. So I was like, Chris, I said, I'm not going to be able to push this chair. I said, this thing's a tank. And I said, you're going to have to push me. I said, I don't like that. So next morning, we're going to class, and we're right downtown Washington, D.C. And I mean, we're like close to Vermont Avenue. And we get to our curb, and it was a red light, and he went off to the side a little bit so people could walk by. So we go to take off, and it was just slow motion. There I am. I'm like slowly falling out of this chair. And this guy, he's not very big, and he's trying to catch me. And there I am in the middle of a street, and people were up yelling at him, you need to learn how to push a wheelchair. I felt so bad for him. I was like, calm down, people, calm down. But I picked myself up and got myself in a chair. And but I mean, there's so many stories like that that's happened. But
yeah.
I mean, I felt so bad for him. And he's like, I'm done pushing you.
I bet he probably felt about that tall, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Because, the human nature would be like, for the people watching this happen, like, what are you doing, right?
Yeah.
I want to get back to your accident again, man.
Okay.
How do you think your accident has dramatically changed your life? I know you talked about being depressed prior to your accident. How has it changed your life as far as even, the depression side, or even maybe, just tell me how it's changed your life.
It motivated me. It motivated me to be better. I always tell people, God didn't put me in a wheelchair. He gave me a second chance in life.
Yeah.
And I live it to its fullest.
Nice.
After my accident, I went to therapy. And I always say I took a year off from work. And I wanted to get involved in sports right off the bat. And I had to wear this thing I called it a turtle shell. Mm-hmm. And I had to wear it for like 3 months. And the day I got that off, one of my friends called me and asked me if I wanted to go whitewater rafting. And I was like, sure. But I didn't want to tell my parents that. So we told them that I was going fishing.
Oh, my gosh.
And he was a guide down a New River.
Okay.
So it was just me and him in the raft. Oh. There was no one else.
What?
And we did. We started out fishing because he knew I liked to fish. And, we started off. And then when we hit a rapid, I was like, all right, I'm done, dude. I'm putting the pole down. Let's go. Because right then, that's when it started. I was like, this, and I came home. I was soaking wet. My family was like, what is, and I told her like, from that, my parents, my mom especially, is like, don't ever tell me anything you ever do. And so I did that. I made that promise to her, you know, from the scuba diving, from the skydiving, things like that. I never told them. I just went and did it. And then they saw it on Facebook. They're like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. My most famous picture that I have ever taken by myself. I'm a big Buckeye fan.
Man, I'm sorry.
I know. And they were playing Texas in the Fiesta Bowl that year. And I wanted to go to that game. It was in Arizona. So I thought I'd make us a vacation. So I went by myself. I flew to Vegas for a couple of days. I went there. And then I flew from there to Arizona. And I rented a car and I went to the Grand Canyon. And I went to the Grand Canyon and I was like, I want a picture. I want to do a selfie. This is before selfie sticks and all that.
Yeah.
So I put my camera down, put it on the timer, and I went as close as I could to the edge. And if you saw the picture, my little wheels were pretty much off the side of the Grand Canyon.
You're kidding.
Yeah. And my mom about flipped out when she saw that picture.
Oh my gosh.
But I was just like looking over the edge. I wanted to get as close as possible. And this is the way I angled it and popped that wheelie. And those little wheels were just right there. I mean, when I do things, I don't think before I do it.
Yeah.
I just do it. You know, the skydiving, the scuba diving, everything that I did. And afterwards, I'm like, man, I really could have got hurt. Yeah. But I just don't want to question things. I just want to do it.
Do you think that comes from you personally understanding what it's like to be, you know, that close from not being here?
Oh, yeah.
And you understand physically, mentally.
Yeah, I just want to push life to the fullest and live on that edge.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for that rush,
man,
type of thing. You know, at first I always thought about I wanted to compete and I wanted to be in first place, and really, to me, that's not what it's about.
Yeah, you're right.
It's more challenging myself.
Absolutely, it's overcoming your own set point, I guess.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. And how this all got started, you know, like I said, I took a year off. I got into, I did that. Well, that winter, I went snow skiing with some friends, and we found out that Snowshoe had a disabled program there, and it was almost like the first or second year of the program. And I went there. Nathan and John McCabe, they were the only two people working at the program at the time, and it was a mono ski. Basically, what it is, I'm sitting in what we call like a bucket with a motorcycle shock that's pretty much your legs that's attached to the ski. And then I have these things on my arms called outriggers. And it was this is just not even a year after my accident.
Yeah.
And I fell so many times. I can't tell you how many times I fell. And after just falling and falling, but I was having so much fun, I didn't care. And after that, I got into kayaking.
Man.
And a lady at work asked me to join her organization called Adventure Pursuit.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I joined that organization. We taught people how to kayak. And she asked me to live in what they called the boathouse. It was on a little canal. Mm-hmm. So I moved there, and I was like the caretaker of the house and then all the boats and things. Well, one year they had an accessible expo to show new technology. Mm-hmm. And there was a lady there, asked me, she goes, hey, would you like to try snow skiing? I said, well, actually, I've tried it. She's like, well, would you want to learn again? And I was like, sure. So we exchanged numbers, and I went to Snowshoe to do it again. Well, now, when I went there and I tried it, the whole reason why they wanted me to try it was they wanted me to join their organization.
You're kidding.
And it's called Challenge Athletes of West Virginia.
Yeah. Nice.
And that's what changed it. So, like today, when it's snowing out right now, I'd want to be at Snowshoe.
Yeah.
And when I was young, I was there every weekend. I wanted to learn how to ski, and I would not give up. And I mean, every weekend I go, I'd fall and fall. And they would try to tell me how to do it, but I skied before my accident. Mm-hmm. So I kind of went back to that. Yeah. So it was a little different. So, I mean, I couldn't tell you how many years it finally took. They wanted me to do a bi-ski, which is different than a mono. You're on actually two skis. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do that mono ski. And then one day, it just clicked. And basically what it is, these things on my arms called outriggers, they're for balance. Basically is I had to keep them on the ground to keep my balance. I kept lifting them and I would fall. And I got down to the bottom and I was like, wow, all you have to do is keep your outriggers on the ground. And I thought they were all going to kill me because we've been trying to tell you this for years.
Yeah.
But I'm independent. So I could go ski anywhere. I've been out west.
Man.
And that's what opened doors for me. When I did that, I felt like I could do anything. And after that, it just, marathons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the one high risk thing that you're doing that tops them all? If you need to get your adrenaline fix and you got to get it as high as you can get it, what is it that you're doing?
Skydiving was pretty cool. But if I had picked something that I do often, it's probably scuba diving.
Really?
Yeah. Especially out in the ocean.
Yeah.
Those big old waves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it, huh?
Yeah, I'm telling you. In my dream, I want to swim with sharks. That's on my bucket list.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
People are like, you're crazy. And I was like, well, that's just something I want to do. So.
Yeah. So New York City Marathon, how in the world did you pull that off?
Yeah.
And you said you did the Marine Corps Marathon too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've done,
that's
probably over, I want to say maybe over 50 marathons.
You're kidding.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but New York City was my first.
Well, let's just jump right in.
Exactly. It was so funny because my whole life, when I'm told I can't do something,
me too,
makes me want to do it even more.
Yep.
And someone told me I couldn't do a marathon, and that motivated me, and I wanted to do it. I didn't even have my own equipment. I borrowed someone's equipment and went to New York and did this marathon.
What a loner.
Yeah, what a loner. Yeah, I got a flat tire halfway.
You still got blisters from it?
I got a tire halfway and finished it, and it was right after 9/11.
Nice.
So it was very emotional. You can already tell I'm an emotional guy.
Yeah.
But, I was on the fire department. So fire departments is a big thing for me.
Yeah, yeah.
And every time we went through an intersection, there was a fire truck there. And it was just so emotional.
Jeez, buddy.
I knew. I was crying my eyes out when I finished.
I imagine.
Yeah. And I just opened the doors. After that, I've done Detroit, Miami, Florida. I've done that I don't know how many times now.
Gosh.
But now it's more, I'm going to go on vacation. Every time I go on vacation now, I try to plan it around a marathon, scuba diving, snow skiing. It's not just to go to relax. It's to go do something.
Right. That's amazing, man. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm really going to floor you on this one here. So like I said, on vacations, it was July 4th week. I used to go down to Florida. I always go to Daytona for the NASCAR race. And I went down, I wanted a bike ride. And I found a bike trail from Key Largo to Key West. It's 106 miles. So I was like, I tried and think, how is I going to plan this out? Because I was going by myself. And I thought, well, I'll drive my car halfway, ride halfway, come back. And, I was going to end up doing it twice. But I did some research and I found these guys down in Florida that actually have a bike company down in Key Largo. Mm-hmm. So I called them and they're like, dude, we'll be happy to do this with you. So, I had to pay a little fee, but a guy rode with me and then a guy drove my vehicle as a spotter as we was doing it. But 106 miles, we did the 50 some miles, stayed at Marathon. I stayed there and then the next morning got up and we finished. So it was 106 miles, hottest weather. I don't know if you ever driven that road.
No, not quite that far, but
it's 2-lane road.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how dangerous it was until I watched the videos. Because I've tried to video everything I do. And I was like, those cars are so close to me. And that guy was like, you wouldn't believe how many people just stopped and just watched you.
Really?
Yeah. He's like, this was the most amazing thing I ever done with you.
Gosh, man.
Yeah. So I like to push I push it, man. I push it, push my body.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What's the hardest thing that you do? That challenged you? Like, that gives you the most challenge? And I know I can tell right now you're that guy, just like you said. If I can't do something, watch me. I'm going to figure this out.
Oh, yeah.
So what is the hardest thing for you to do, thrill seeker wise, that just kicks your butt and you can't kind of get over the hump? I'm trying hard to just, whip this thing's butt.
Man, that's a tough one because I feel I achieve everything that I ever do and set out to do. So, I mean, if you had asked me a few years ago, it would have been snow skiing. That was the hardest thing for me to learn. But after I learned it, after that, it just seemed like everything just became easy.
Man, just your motivation.
Yeah.
And your drive, man. I can see it. You're feeding off yourself. And just like we talked earlier, you personally, physically, mentally know how close that, part of your life didn't get the chance to start. Your life was almost over at one point.
Yeah. I mean, I was 22 years old when this all went down. And the doctor came in and told me, he came in and he did like a karate chop across my chest. And he said, from here down, you have no muscle feeling, no movement of you won't be able to walk again. And like I said, I don't like being told I can't do something. So right after therapy, when I was doing therapy, I went and had braces made to learn how to walk.
Oh, wow.
And I learned how to, that was hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it took a lot of strength because you got to remember, I'm just using my muscles from my chest up. And I did the Grand Central Mall, did a lap around the mall.
No way.
And this brace has been in the closet ever since. But I just wanted to prove a point that I could walk.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
Golly, that's dude.
Yeah.
Guys, I don't know if you're picking this up in this interview or not, but I'm like a kid in a candy store right now. And I don't know how else to say that. I am super excited to hear this. It's motivating me like crazy. And I don't know if I'm relaying across this mic how much it's motivating me, but I'm really impressed so far. And holy cow. Dang.
Yeah.
Let's continue on. I'm a basket case now. These questions are all out of whack.
That's fine.
What does the phrase, and I know you said you're not a paid motivational speaker and all that, but from what I've been hearing, you're doing a lot of it locally. And I'm a big believer in fixing local things first before you branch out and shove your message onward. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What does the phrase motivational speaker mean to you?
Wow. For me, I'm more of a storyteller.
What does the phrase storyteller mean to you?
Because I feel I could tell stories, and I have you laughing. I'm
sitting here like a kid in a candy store.
I want people to feel at ease when they see somebody with a disability. That's my goal in life, if you want to say that. I want people to go up to anyone and be comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't want them to go up there and start sweating, don't know what to say, don't know what to do. Don't be afraid to ask if they need help or anything like that. That's what my message is. So when I go to do these talks, when I do go to schools, I talk about how I was in school, how I had to learn how to talk, how I had my own special teacher. And I'm hoping I can get to a kid and then talk about afterwards all the hard work that I've done to get where I'm at today.
Right.
And it's not to feel sorry about me. I don't want you to feel sorry about me.
Right.
I want you to be like, wow. Yeah, I want you to remember who I am down the road.
I want you to hear my message and turn yourself into a better person.
Yeah. Yeah. And I listen. I listen to YouTubes all the time.
Yeah.
People motivational talks. And it's just the stories, man. I just like hearing them and just everyone has a story.
Sure.
Everyone does. And people don't realize that they do.
Do you realize the impact you're having on the community and the students? Do you realize that?
Yeah. And motivational talk, I like doing that. But what I really like doing is when I get a call from the hospital and someone just got injured.
Oh, way. I never thought of that.
I can't even count on my hand how many people I've helped.
No way, man.
My first one ever. I was at work. I'll go ahead and tell this story.
Yeah.
This is a good one.
Holy moly.
No one even called me. It was my sister had read it in the paper. They told me about it. A young girl was driving on, I want to say, 550, and she swerved to miss a deer, rolled her vehicle, and she's a quadriplegic.
Man.
So I was at work one day, and I was like, I'm just gonna go to the hospital. I just went. It was down in Kingdom Clark. I mean, it was just like in the same week of her accident. And I went down there and I went in and the family's like, who are you? And then I just started asking questions and I just like, you got to get her out of here. I just had that feeling. I was like, she's a quad. Parkersburg is not equipped for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, you got to get her out of here. And they listened to me. And with the help of my sister, because the hospital would not help try to find a referral.
Mm.
Well, my sister took all in charge. She called Dodd Hall in Columbus, got her admitted. They life flighted her. I believe that she lost her life maybe 3 or 4 times in the life flight.
Jeez.
So, I mean, we're still good friends.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But I mean, that was, after that, I didn't have someone come to my room and try to tell me what life's going to be like.
Jeez.
And that's one thing I love doing.
So you figured out things on your own.
Yeah.
I mean, you adapted and overcame the things on your own.
Yeah.
And all the pain and struggles that you went through doing that, I'm sure it's part of your message today, whether, like you said, it's this lady that's in the hospital for this accident or the kids you're talking to at school, right? It's part of that's what you're funneling through.
Yep.
Man.
Yeah.
Holy cow. What would be the one thing in your motivational stories? What's the one thing that stands out to you that just shakes you to the core that you had a part in helping somebody? I mean, is there one story that just stands out to you like, God put me right here for this person amongst all the stories? I mean, you got several.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Do you have one that just stands out and it's just like, golly, Neds?
It's probably afterwards and I'm over town and I run in maybe to someone's parent and the parent comes up and says, thanks.
Man. Gee whiz. Yeah.
Yeah, that does it for me. And that's happened a lot.
Imagine.
Yeah.
There's a lot of paralyzed people in our community. I mean, there is.
Yeah. And I've done things, there was a young boy out of Waterford, and I went and watched my nephew play basketball. And he was in a wheelchair. He wasn't a spinal cord injury, but he was in a wheelchair. Mm-hmm. And I went to go watch him play basketball, and this kid was on the other team playing against him. My nephew went to Fort Fry, and I was just like, wow, that's pretty awesome. But he had a regular chair, and I just like, I want him to have a basketball chair. And I found one, and I went and made sure it was going to fit him and stuff, but I took it to him, and because a basketball chair is made a little different, mm-hmm. and I gave it to them, and he still has it to this day.
Really?
Yeah.
How in the world do you play basketball in a wheelchair? I got to ask you that.
Yeah. I mean, there's rules.
There is?
There are rules. And the chair is made different. The chair, the wheels are angled on it, so it turns a little faster. It has what they call fifth wheel on the back, so it won't tip over.
Oh, okay.
So
I see.
Yeah. So the chair is made, and I use it for basketball and I use it for tennis.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you dunk it?
No, not quite. I try, though. I talk to trash.
That's the military humor coming out of me right there. That's a little dark. Man, as positive of a person as you are, and I'm vibing off of you like crazy, how do you deal with some of those personal days, those kind of rough days? And everybody has those rough days. And what's the things that get you through those rough times?
I'm not going to lie. You're right. Everyone has a rough day. I'm very good at forgetting what happened yesterday.
Really?
I don't know how I'm gifted at that, but I start every morning as a new day.
Nice.
I try not to think back. I always say I learn more from failures than I do from success.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I agree.
And I'm a big believer in that. I'm a huge believer in positive thinking.
Me too.
And you got to surround yourself by positive people.
That's right.
And if you're around negative people, you're going to do negative things.
100% correct.
If you think negative, you're going to do negative things. I see it every day on Facebook, people talking. I'm like, dude, just don't be like
it.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. You can go through all my history on Facebook. You'll never see me complain about anything.
Yeah.
And I could tell you stories of things that happened to me. You can understand. I'm paralyzed.
Yeah.
I cannot feel anything from my chest down. So I don't know when I have to use the restroom.
Wow.
I don't know when I have to pee. I don't know when I have to poop. I don't know that.
Yeah.
And I worry about that every day. I'm on a routine. I self-cath myself every 6 hours on a normal day. If I drink a lot, I cath myself a little bit more. But I'm not going to lie. I've had accidents. I've been out in public and I've had them. But it gets me mad because I try to take good care of myself and health-wise. And I get mad at myself. But I don't get embarrassed. If someone sees it, I'm like, that's just life.
Yeah.
Just go home, change clothes, whatever. And I've had accidents, and I tried to live a good, healthy life with that. But that's it's something I worry about every day.
Yeah.
I worry about pressure sores. I've never had a bed sore under on my skin. I'm sitting on a cushion that costs almost $600.
Right.
My ass is pretty expensive. I want to take care of it. I don't want a sore. And that comes from my mom. My mom was a home health aide.
Yeah. And
my mom took a couple years off when I had my accident. So she was with me every day in the hospital. And she made sure, I was being tossed around and making sure I had no bed sores or anything like that. So, my mom was my rock when I was in the hospital. Yeah.
Do you ever feel like, talking about what happened to you? I mean, does that ever help you? I mean, you ever feel like, man, I just need to talk to somebody today? Or how do you go about, so there's triggers in life. I know with some of the things, that happen to me, there's small little triggers that'll go off and it just my mind just starts racing, and then, if I don't talk about that, it stays racing forever almost, you know what I mean? And then I'll kind of forget about it. Then all of a sudden there'll be another little trigger somewhere else. I'm like, dang, then all of a sudden here I am a wreck,
Yeah.
How do you, that post-traumatic thing? I mean, we all have some post-traumatic things and mine don't even hold a candle to what yours is, I'm sure. But when they start coming in and out, do you deal with them? Or you just kind of, like you said, you just flush them and the next day you're starting a new day?
Yeah, I've never really had that. I mean, I probably did at the beginning. I just don't remember it.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm not being cocky or anything. And a lot of people don't know this, but I want to be the best at everything I do. Everything I do. And I don't feel any different than anyone else.
Yeah.
But hey, if I'm standing in a concert line somewhere or a sporting line and you want me to go up front because I'm in a wheelchair, sure. I'll go right up front.
Right.
But really, I don't care sitting back there waiting an hour just like everyone else because I'm in a chair.
Yeah.
I'm not standing, but people do that.
Yeah.
And I'll take advantage of it.
Yeah.
I'll use my wheelchair as much as I can.
Yeah.
I'm no liar about that. And people will call me out on that.
Who is the most famous person that you've met?
Oh, my gosh.
That's your number one.
Oh, my gosh.
Speaking of concerts and all that good stuff.
Man.
You said you met some of the Buckeyes last year, right?
Yeah, Chase Young and them got the, fist bump those guys as they were coming through the line. NASCAR is a big thing of mine, so I can think of Jeff Gordon.
Nice.
He was my driver.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think.
How do the superstars react with you?
I mean, nothing. They deal with
kind
that.
of accustomed to that, right?
They're pretty accustomed to that.
Mm-hmm.
They see that every day.
Yeah.
It's the small town folks
that
don't see it that often, and they're just like, oh, alrighty then.
Yeah.
What do we do? We went to a NASCAR race one time, and we were leaving, And I don't know if you've been to a NASCAR race.
Nope, never have.
A lot of people. And we're going down the road and I see these people coming, but they start drifting off to the side because they saw me coming. Like I was like I was a disease, like they were going to catch it.
What?
So I just started going closer to them. I just started playing with them. Next thing you know, it was like I was chasing them through this parking lot. But
It's hilarious.
It's just, that's how people, I get it. I totally get it.
Sure.
I totally get it. They see me and they're just like, oh my, poor guy. But when you hear my story, they're going to be like, hey, all right, this dude's amazing.
Yeah.
So.
I remember my mother, she worked at I forget the name of that place over in Pleasance County, disabled building. Anyway, she worked at a disability hospital for, disabled kids and stuff. And she always used to tell me growing up, she's like, you know how kids are growing up. They'll say the meanest things at the wrong time. And I never really did say stuff like that. Mainly was because my mother was always like, you will never, ever make fun of anybody. No, anybody. It doesn't matter if they have a disability or not, especially disabled people. That will get your freaking ass canned in a second.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Well, making fun of anybody would, obviously.
Right.
But if I crossed that line or anybody around me would cross that line, people say dumb things or make a stupid comment about whatever. My mom, and I know she's probably going to listen to this, she'd light me up. And then my dad was right behind her. You know what I mean? And so I was raised to not ever, ever, ever cross that line. And I never would. Yeah. I just wouldn't do that. Yeah. But there's people out there that they're cruel, man.
Oh, yeah.
They'll say some of the meanest things.
Nothing bothers me. I've been called every name in the book.
You're kidding.
And I've said it myself, but nothing bothers me.
Man.
Anybody could say whatever, handicap, gimp, whatever they want to call me. It does not bother me.
So with me asking you if you've dunked a basketball, that didn't bother you?
Doesn't bother me one bit. Doesn't bother me.
Oh gosh, Mom.
Well, but it's so funny listening to people, like, well, let's go. You can say walk. It's not going to offend me that you say walk. Let's go for a roll. That's stupid. Let's go for a walk. I say, let's go for a walk.
Yeah.
Let's go for a run. That's just common. That's the way we were raised. Those are the common words.
Yeah.
Let's go for a roll was not a common word. So.
Man. Do you, some of the kids that you've like mentored and through these schools and all of our local schools, has anybody ever come back to you later on as a personal connection, not the parents? I know you said the parents will come back to you a lot, but do you have any of those kids coming back? And nothing, a normal kid, I guess, for lack of better words.
Oh yeah, because you don't realize how time goes so quick. Mm. And like I said, I started this at a very young age. And when I go to town and I meet someone, come in there, it's like, hey, you came to my school. They did a talk, and here they're married and have kids. I'm like, great. Thanks for making me feel old. But I mean, it's amazing that they still remember who I am.
Yeah. I was talking to some guys that I work with, and one of the kids, he's a young kid, and he remembered one of your conversations at his school, and he was telling me about it a little bit. So, and he's married and got kids now.
Yeah.
So, he was kind of pumping me up a little bit. So, but yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, you never know how you're going to touch somebody's life.
Oh no!
And I try to just live, like you said earlier, positively all the time, and I suck at it, man. I really do.
Yeah.
Today I had a crappy day at work, and I was kind of not the best me for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I try to, and it's just living life, man. It's like that's the name of the show, Life Hacks. We all suck at it, man. We're all teachers and students at it, and we all suck at life, and I'm just trying to be better.
My rule of thumb is for every negative, try to think of 2 positives.
It's a good idea.
And I try to do that. I really try to do that. And I've had a lot of negative things in my life, but I always try to see the positive side of it.
Yeah.
There always is. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't out for my car accident.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think I'd be in the same position where I'm at today.
Jeez.
It actually changed my life to the better.
Man.
It's kind of crazy to say that. And people would be like...
No, I understand. I mean, not that I understand your situation, but some of the things, the bad things that have happened to me made me a better person for sure. And the things that I hear that a lot from people. I mean, nobody remembers the best thing you ever did. I mean, sure they might, but what kind of life lessons there, you know? Did everything perfectly.
Right.
Okay, cool. Now, when you really had a hard time completing something, or like, you know, your life was gifted to you again, wow, everything changes.
Yeah.
And you learn from that.
Yep. And it took a lot of exercise, weightlifting, you know, to be able to push myself around and, you know, to drive a car, to get in the car and take my chair apart, to put the car in, you know. It's funny when I go to the mall or go to the grocery store and people watch me get out and they want to come up and they'll ask for help, and it doesn't bother me. And I'm like, nope, I got this. I mean, I didn't come to the store just to come to the store. I came here for a reason. I'm, you know, if I could have called someone if I wanted something, but I do it for a reason.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't have handles on the back. So I've been in DC working, and people come up and say, "Can I push you?" And I'm like, nah, you know, I don't have handles or anything. But then I have some people who don't even ask, and they just start pushing.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I've been scared a couple of times where they actually pushed on my shoulders.
Oh, man.
I don't have ab muscles.
Oh, wow.
So when they're pushing me, I mean, they're pretty much pushing me out of that.
Wow, man. I never thought about that.
Yeah, that's happened a couple times. So I prefer people to ask.
Yeah, yeah.
And it doesn't bother me. But some people get mad when they ask. But like when I go to the mall and there's a door, to open the door, I don't like using those automatic door buttons.
You do it yourself?
I do it myself.
You're kidding.
That's how you get strong.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it makes you weak.
Yeah. You're challenging yourself every single day. Obviously, you've got some tremendous challenges every day, physically. Yeah.
I could tell you stories after stories after stories. And I like pushing myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, do you ever ask for help?
I will eventually in time. You know, I just got married this past summer.
Really?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm sorry for her. I'm kidding. Yeah, that's awesome.
And she's from Pittsburgh.
I'm really sorry for her.
No, that's the great thing. Oh, we're both Steelers fans.
Come on.
Come on now. Come on. And how we met was the Pittsburgh Marathon.
Really?
Yeah. So
she was running up in front of you. You was kind of checking her out type thing?
Actually, no. It gets better than that. It gets way better than that. So this marathon gives you a bike escort to the city. And every person with disability gets one. And I was late, and I didn't know who I was going to get.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing a bunch of people standing, and I kept thinking, I wonder if I'll get her. You know, I just kept thinking that.
You're checking her out already.
I was already checking her out. So she came over, and she was my escort. I always tell people I met an escort at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh. She kills me when I tell that story. She's going to kill me.
An official Pittsburgh escort.
Escort to the city, and we talked every mile of that race. We did not stop talking. I talked the whole time. I mean, just everything. So
that was your slowest race ever, right?
Pretty much. I didn't want it to end. So when it ended, I was like, I didn't know if I'd ever hear from her ever again.
Yeah.
And she sent me a friend's request on Facebook, and that's how it all got started. Well, our first date, I was like, I got to impress her. So our first date was a bike ride on the Allegheny Bike Trail.
Yeah.
And I like to go long distance.
Yeah.
So we went. I'd done a lot of research on this. So we take off. We're not even 10 miles into the bike ride. And there is this huge tree over the path. There's no way around it. And she's like, well, you want to turn around and go back? I go, no. I said, I'm going to climb that tree.
What?
And she was like, okay. And I said, will you carry me over? And this is when I knew she was the woman. She was the one, because she didn't baby me. She's like, you shouldn't do that. She's like, okay. But I said, can you film it? Yeah. I was like, I got to film this.
You're kidding.
So like I said, I don't think about things. This is a big tree. I mean, this was not small. And I worked my way across this tree. and we did the bike ride. That was our first date. And then when we came back, I had to do it again. That tree was still there, and I had to climb it on the way back. But and in my wedding vows, I told her, I said, I climbed the tree for you twice.
Man, that's incredible.
Yeah. And I knew then, you know, she was the one, because I don't want someone to baby me.
Right.
I don't want someone to worry about me.
Yeah.
And she's not that type.
Man.
And,
So she slaps you around when you get out of hand, huh?
Pretty much. Yeah.
That's amazing. I got a question here, man. What do you want to say to the people who are out there suffering, whether it's an extreme physical condition or an extreme mental condition, PTS condition? What do you want to say to them to help them cope with their own personal issues?
Everyone has a purpose in life. How do you find that purpose? I feel like I'm still searching. Even though
Me too.
You're sitting here talking about all these things I've done, I still feel like I'm searching for what I'm supposed to do in life. Maybe it's what I'm doing. Maybe it's not. But I want to enjoy that journey to figure it out.
Right.
And people, it's got to be not to be afraid.
Right.
Don't be afraid of failure. I mean, I failed, I don't know how many times. And I learned from that. It pushes me to want to be better.
Yeah.
And some people, so when I got my job at the Bureau, I went to BVR, Bureau Vocational Rehab.
Mm-hmm.
They, after my accident, they were there to help me go back to work or go back to school. They wanted me to go back to school. And I said, school's not for me. I said, I want to go to work.
Mm-hmm. Well,
They sent me to school. I went there for 5 days. It was not for me. So I came back and I told the guy, I said, can you write me a letter for the Bureau of Public Debt and tell them I'm capable of working there? We've never got anyone hired by doing that. And I was like, because I knew they were supposed to hire people with disabilities.
Yeah.
I was like, you write that letter, I will get a job there. Guy wouldn't do it. So I bypassed him and went to his boss in Columbus. Well, they gave me a new guy. They go, fine, we'll write you a letter. So they wrote me a letter saying I was capable. So I applied for the job. In the meantime, they got me a job at Western Auto. I don't know if you remember that. It was in front of Sam's.
Yeah.
It was an auto store there. They found me a job there. The guy said he would hire me. They were going to make accommodations for me. But once again, I don't know if you keep hearing this pattern, but I was there for 5 days.
What?
And I got a call. I had interviewed at Public Debt, and I got a call from Public Debt for a job. And I started at the very bottom. I started as a grade 3.
Yeah.
And what's so weird about it, it was 1 year later from my accident.
Man.
When I started working again at the Bureau.
Golly,
it was in that same month. It wasn't the same week, but it was the same month. Every promotion that I've gotten at work has been in the month of April. Until this last one. I just got a promotion here a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And so that one was not in April. I was a little upset about that one. But I have worked my way up that ladder to where I'm at today. And the first day on the job, what motivated me was someone told me that I would not go anywhere, that I'd always be stuck on this job.
Yeah, buddy.
And I was like,
watch me.
Thanks for the fire, man. I wanted,
It's awesome.
And lit it up. So,
dang.
Yeah.
Man. Oh my gosh. So what do you think? What's your biggest accomplishment right now in your life?
Oh, man. It's just, sports wise, it's everything that I've done sports wise. I was supposed to do 6 marathons last year and they were all canceled.
Yeah.
I was pretty bummed out.
I bet.
I was supposed to do New York City again. It was my 25th anniversary for my accident. And it was their 25th anniversary. I think it was some kind of anniversary for them. So I was pretty pumped to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's carrying over to next year. So I'm going to just still say 21. Hopefully we're able to do these marathons.
Yeah.
But I was supposed to do Detroit, Pittsburgh, of course, again, Cleveland. So I had all those marathons lined up. But I could go through, what's the greatest thing ever, scuba diving.
Yeah.
I didn't even tell you about that story. I'm in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
We're talking scuba diving. We're talking underwater.
Yeah.
You usually use your legs.
Yeah.
I couldn't find anyone that would give me lessons. Could not find anyone. I didn't want to be taken. I wanted to be a scuba diver. I didn't want to be handheld through the water.
Yeah.
So I called a place in Florida, in Atlantic Scuba. And I called him up and I was like, hey, I'm going to be coming down to Florida this month. Can you guys give me lessons? Oh, yeah, sure. And I was like, well, there's one more thing I need to tell you.
Got one small issue.
Yeah. I said, I'm in a wheelchair. And they're like, oh, well, hold on. We got someone here you want to talk to. So Bill Holder, I got on the phone with him. He's retired from the Army. And he's like, yeah. He goes, I'll take that challenge.
Nice.
Because I've never done this before, but I'll teach you how to scuba. He goes, I'll make it even better for you. Because he didn't know me. He didn't know my ability, anything. He goes, I'll come to Ohio to teach you. He flew to Ohio to teach me to scuba dive.
You're kidding.
We went to Circleville. There was a rock quarry up there.
Yeah.
And we went up there and he had other people there, able-bodied people. I was the only one with a disability. And I don't know if you ever scuba dive,
nope.
But there are certain things you have to do. You have to go down, clear your mask and all this. And there were some things I had to do underneath the water. And he sent me down to do it. And he got nervous. He didn't think I was coming back up because he knew I was determined to do it. And I did it. And he was just like, that was the most amazing thing ever. And he goes, if you ever need a scuba buddy, because you always have a buddy when you scuba dive, I'll scuba dive with you anywhere. I was like, yeah, whatever, But we became good friends. So I told him I was going to Florida, and there he was. Every time I go to scuba dive, he is there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So I wanted to become better. So I wanted to do advanced dive so I could go 90 feet. So I took lessons through him, and we'd done some caves where it was like pitch dark. I mean, it was just amazing. Amazing.
That's incredible, dude.
Yeah.
You've got like a gazillion stories.
Oh, I got way more. I could just.
I'm so motivated. I mean, you're
people's like, you need to write a book. And I was like, I haven't even read a book. How can I write a book if I never read a book? so for anyone out there who wants to write a book about me, contact me. We can work out a deal. But.
Speaking of that, do you have any kind of a foundation, or do you filter people to a foundation or anything like that?
Not really.
Is there anyone that you would recommend that that's offering kick-ass help out there? I mean,
no, not really. I mean, it's just people's asked me and stuff, but I really don't know.
Do you accept that kind of a donation from people? I mean,
if I would say make it to Challenge Athletes of West Virginia.
Okay.
Because that's the organization.
Nice.
It's a nonprofit out of Snowshoe. We teach snow skiing. We do over 300 lessons a year.
What's it called again?
Challenge Athletes of West Virginia.
Okay. It's up in Snowshoe.
Yeah. And we do soldiers, wounded soldiers.
Yeah.
So we do a program every year with that.
Man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I went out west to a program out there and helped with that.
Golly, man.
It was awesome.
What's it like working with the veterans that are struggling?
Because they seemed like the ones I've met, I know there's probably some not out there as motivated, but the ones I have met were motivated.
Yeah.
And, they had that drive. They're in the military.
Yeah.
This is me thinking. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But a lot of times when you join the military, you're doing it because you're driven.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not doing it because...
Right. Yeah, that's when I joined. That was the whole purpose. I needed a way to get where I wanted to go, and with some excitement and some thrill.
Right.
That's kind of what I went in for. But you're right. A lot of guys that I know that are injured, or they're self motivated.
Yep.
They were motivated. Got injured. Now they're self motivated again to try to make everything as best as they can make it, I guess. So. But, there's always dark days. There's always challenges, just like I mean, we all do.
Yeah.
And it's a life, man. There's no manual for this sucker.
I'm telling you, I think this COVID's a test for everyone.
Man.
It's a test for everyone.
This has been, you're right. It's unexplainable what this year has been.
Yeah. I mean, like our wedding, we were supposed to have a big wedding, and it was down to just the family and friends.
Man.
Just family.
Yeah.
First time. We got married twice.
Really?
Last summer. Because we thought, well, we'll get married now and then we'll have a party down the road. Well, that fell through too because stupid COVID was still going on. But
yeah.
We went on our honeymoon. Dude, we flew to Vegas and rented a car. We drove over 5,000 miles. We went to all the national parks.
Dang.
Yellowstone, oh my gosh, Mount Rushmore, Denver. I mean,
Don't say the Grand Canyon. My wife will be so mad at you.
No, we went to the Grand Canyon.
Here's a story for you. I was getting ready to go on a deployment, right? And I was moving my wife back to California or back to West Virginia because we was living in California. She's like, man, we got to stop at the Grand Canyon on the way back because we're driving back pretty close to it. And I have 10 days leave before I go on deployment right overseas. And I basically told her, no, we're not stopping at the Grand Canyon. Because in my eyes, I wanted to get back as fast as I could to spend 10 days at home or however many days we had left. And oh man, I kind of regret that because, that was a very selfish move for me. And we joke about it a lot today. Like, yeah, we're going out west, but we're not stopping at the Grand Canyon.
Well, I recommend to add that to your bucket list because that is probably the most amazing sight to me in the United States. I was just amazed that that's there.
Yeah,
I mean, we live on the East Coast, and life's the East Coast. You got DC, New York, and all that. But you go out west, there's like all this land.
It is. Like out west is humongous.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah,
you can drive for 8 hours and not see anything.
Exactly.
Except the road.
We did it. We did that. I mean,
driving through Texas is like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
When are we going to hit another state?
Right. You see a cattle and you're like, where does cattle come from? We haven't even passed a farm for years,
right.
Like months.
For us East Coasters, that's a new world for us over there. It's like,
Yep, sure is.
Here's a cool question I thought of a couple episodes ago, and I really like this. What is the one life lesson that you want to pass on to our audience today? It can be anything. What's one good life lesson that you want to pass on today?
Life lesson.
Or, a life, a motivational type thing.
Yeah. I mean, every day, people are going to look at you and people are going to label you, and you cannot worry about what others think at all.
Nice.
And I don't care what you think about me. I really don't. I'm not saying you in general, but I just if I see a stranger, I really don't care what they think about me. I don't care. And some people I talk to, like, I cannot believe the way they're looking at me. I'm like, who cares? Who cares the way? Don't let them make your day. Make your own day. And you got to think positive every day. You got to. I make it sound easy. I know I don't. There's days I don't think positive, but I know I'm not there very long.
Sure, yeah.
I go back to, I've watched my video on YouTube lots of times. I motivate myself. I'm like, okay, I needed this. I need to get myself back to where I need to be. And it's just telling people you have a purpose in life. Always tell yourself that. It could be the smallest thing. If it's to make breakfast for someone in the morning or just to get dressed and go to work the next, you have a purpose. It could be the very smallest thing to the world's greatest thing.
Yeah. Man, that's great advice. That is good advice. I am really, I'm blessed to sit here today in front of you and have this conversation. I'm really motivated and I'm a pretty motivated guy. I think I try to stay active, stay motivated, and stay positive. And like you said, we all suck at doing that every day. But I'm really, I'm touched by your presence today and your story. And I really thank you for coming on today and just talking to me.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Allow me in your home.
Yeah. I know.
Although I'm not sure about all this Buckeye stuff and the Steelers and come on, man.
Yeah. That was full of Buckeyes, definitely.
Do you have anything you would like to add or ask me or any last minute anythings?
Yeah. I mean, keep doing what you're doing. You're going to make a difference in someone's life. You probably already have. With your podcast. I mean, I've listened to a couple of them. I told you earlier, I wanted to listen to them all, but I wanted to listen to them before I started because, I'd be like, oh yeah, I totally agree with that person. I didn't want to repeat what they say. So you're going to make a difference in someone's life.
I'm trying to.
Yeah. And you might have already, you don't even know it. It doesn't have to be someone local. I mean, you're talking a podcast, so you're talking to people who can listen to this everywhere, and push it out there. You got social media. I plan when you're done with this and you're done with this podcast, I'm going to share it.
Awesome.
I'll share it with many people, and I have a lot of friends.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And then a lot of people like to hear my story. So hopefully when they hear it, they're going to share it with someone that might need this story.
Man, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I told you off the mic before we got started, and I've said this in a couple of my shows, the reason why I started this was to give an outlet for me to talk about some things, but also for my guest. And when people listen, I listen to a lot of podcasts and I get a lot of information. I learn a lot of things from listening to people. And your story today, I've already learned a lot of things. And there's just some power in hearing people talk about, issues. And life's not all about uppers and downers and, the traumatic things. But like you said earlier today, there's traumatic things that happen to you in life really resonate a little bit more than that perfect thing that happened to you. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I'm not sure how far or how long I do this, but it feels really good, feels really solid in my heart right now. And I'm being pushed to do this. And I'm a believer in God and the Holy Spirit. And this feels really right now.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get people to, and myself included, to be better. I want to be better than I was today. I had a bad day today. I want to be better tomorrow than I am right now talking to you. And eventually, I'm going to hit that wall. I'm going to slide back down it. And I'm going to be like, hey, you big dummy. Listen to your message.
Yeah.
Lead by example. We're all leaders in life. We're all students of life. Let's just all get better.
Everything happens for a reason.
You're right.
Always got to remember that. What you're doing is, I think it's pretty amazing.
Thank you very much. It means a lot to me.
And I said I have a lot of stories, but one thing I want to lead off with and finish with, I keep telling you I don't have no feeling from my chest down. And I always finish every motivational talk with this pretty much. I like to tell this story. So we was burning some brush at a friend's house, and I noticed my shoe was untied. So I bent over to tie my shoe, and I had burnt my chest, not even thinking how I burnt my chest.
Oh.
I could feel my chest. So I was like, man, that hurt. Didn't even think anything of it. So it was dark, and I get home and I look down and there is a hole in my jeans. And that there was an ash that was on my thigh. I could not feel that. And I was like, oh my gosh, my mom is going to kill me. So I was trying to think what to do. So I grabbed one of those Band-Aids that you heat up with your hands.
Yeah.
So I heated that thing up and I stuck it on there. I didn't even clean it up or anything. So I go to work, and once again, 5 days later, I'm at work, and people's like, man, what's wrong with you? And I said, I'm just not feeling good. And I was just down. I was felt ill. And so they started asking me questions, doing the mother thing. Did you eat something different? Because they were like, you're upbeat every day. Something is wrong.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, the only thing I could think of is I had burnt my leg over the weekend and I stuck a Band-Aid on it. And they were like, well, have you looked at it? And I go, no, that Band-Aid had been on there for 5 days.
5 days?
5 days. So I go to the doctor. They're like, you got to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Get this checked out. So I go to the doctor, and I go in, and doctor loves me because I always had crazy stories. And so I told him, I was like, I stuck this Band-Aid on there. And he's like, dude, what are you thinking? You shouldn't do that. So they had a nurse come in to try to get that Band-Aid off. They could not get that Band-Aid off. So they had to take scissors and they had to cut the hair on my leg. And I'm acting like I can feel it, and I can't feel a thing. I'm like, and they're just like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, man, where'd you get your degree from? Because you're right. Because I really can't feel this. So they got off. It was a 3rd-degree burn on my thigh to the bone. Chunks of wood was still in my leg.
You're kidding. Oh my gosh.
And so they cleaned it up, gave me medicine and all that. And I was like, you always try to think of something positive. And I said, yes, never stick a Band-Aid on a burn. But that's when I say I have no feeling, that's what I always end my message with. And kids just look at me like, wow.
Wow, I never thought of that either.
Yeah.
Gee whiz, man. Wow, man. Well, Brian, I appreciate it, dude.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a lot of good things.
Good.
And just keep doing it, man. Keep pushing that limit too.
Yeah.
I want to see you.
I don't know what the next adventure is going to be, but I mean, it's out there.
It is.
I'll find that rush.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been watching videos, people kayak and snow skiing. I don't know if you've seen that, but there's people in kayaks snow skiing. I was like, that looks like fun. So I something that keeps showing up on my Facebook page. So I'm like, something's telling me maybe I need to try that. I don't know.
Let's go for it. All right, folks. Hey, this has been the Life Hacks Podcast. And I want to thank my new good friend, Brian Woodyard Woody, today. Hey, guys, if you like what we're doing here at the show, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family. Pass the message along. Jump on reviews on Apple playlists. Check it out. Also on Spotify. We're everywhere. Anywhere you can find a podcast, we're on there. Obviously, if you're listening to this, you're on something. So if you want to support the show, we have some merch for sale. Go to my Instagram page, the Life Hacks Podcast. Go to my Facebook page, the Life Hacks Podcast. Hey, we got a Linktree account there. Grab some of our merch if you want to buy some t-shirts, some coffee cups, anything like that. All that money's doing is just going back into the show, and so that we can bring you guys better content, more content. But yeah, if you like what we're doing, tell somebody. And I appreciate your time. I appreciate you guys listening. I've heard a lot of feedback from you guys. It really humbles me. It makes my heart warm. But until next time, folks, this has been the Life Hacks Podcast, and we will see you later.